and welcome back to Nakama. Hello everyone, it's been a while, and I'm so sorry for the long break. The first semester is really getting to me. However, I still wanted to give you something around Christmas time, and I hope you will enjoy this next part of the Fox's Pride. We're going to continue with this series. There is not that much new stuff I'm currently working on due to personal stresses, but I hope that you are excited to get back to series we are currently already having, and tell me in the comments which other series I should continue when I find the time. And now, enjoy! Suna whipped around, shifting mid-air into his fox form, with his 3 tails trailing behind him. A snarl built up in the back of his throat, and he practically flew over the ground towards the hunters. He didn't care about being stealthy anymore. He needed to draw their attention to distract them from his mate. Chances were that if they found Komori, they'd assume he was a Kitsune in disguise and test him, through injury or poison. There was a possibility he'd survived that, and the disappointment once they realized he was human, but Suna wasn't foolish enough to assume they wouldn't notice the swell of his belly and correctly deduct the kind of life he was carefully growing inside. He didn't want to imagine the ideas they'd have for them, the horror stories of kidnapped cubs being sold into slavery running rampant in his mind. Despite being worshipped as half-gods by many, these people saw in them little more than livestock they sought to domesticate to harness their power for their own gain. It was the very reason they kept their young so closely protected, and Suna would be damned to let anything happen to his kids or mate. He picked up speed as the first arrows were sent after him. Good, he had their attention. Quickly, he leapt into the branches of the nearest tree and began examining the group of attackers to make sure none of them had split off to pursue his mate. It didn't appear so, but he had only seconds to assess it before arrows were hunting after him again. The anger ran hot in his veins. Motea and him had certainly gone further into the woods than before, but having Kitsune hunters this close to the village was still bold. They should know what it meant to attack one of them in their home territory. Suna let his powers surge through him and fill his meridians as he connected to the forest around, interweaving his chi with the natural flow. Suddenly, all sound seemed to die. He listened with a bloodlust-filled amusement to the slowly growing confusion among the hunters as the trees stopped moving despite the wind still blowing. No more leaves rustled against each other. The animals that had been mostly scattered by the hunters' footsteps felt quiet as though even their heartbeats rested. Amidst the eerie silence, Suna moved too swiftly and quietly for human ears to pick up upon. The air filled with the scent of distress and angry shouts trying to keep the group in line, that was slowly losing its composure faced with the abnormalities suddenly surrounding them. Suna circled them quickly and in passing stirred the water of a puddle. He formed it into long thin spikes, not unlike their arrows, and lunged it at them. 2 buried themselves straight into the throats of 2 men and left them bleeding to death, and cultivating the soil with the red substance leaking from the bodies while injuring a 3rd, who presumably was the leader. He let out an angry growl that held nothing to Suna's as the Kitsune leapt forward to attack. He didn't reach his 3rd, only the arm he threw protectively in front of it, but buried his teeth as deep as he could regardless. Just as the man tried to reach out to grab him by the scruff of his neck, the fox wrapped his tails together, igniting them in brilliant foxfire. Suna was a water kitsune, but all kitsunes could reach within themselves to call upon this gift. It blinded and burned the man, who began shaking his arm frantically to throw him off. It worked, and Suna collided painfully with the trunk of a tree. Before he could gather his wits, another hunter loomed over him and speared his side with an arrow from his quiver. Suna let out a pained howl and screeched as the pain spread. "Don't damage the goods!" Their leader was still cursing wildly, but more so he seemed now focused on the actual opportunity to catch Suna, who wished nothing more but that the damage to his eyes would be permanent. "Huh? It's a spirit, ain't it? It'll survive. You should worry more about the damage it'll do if we don't spear it." Suna pretended to go limp under his grip as the other lifted him into the air and presented him triumphantly. Where the triumph was when 2 of your comrades had died, Suna could only guess. Anger was still fueling him, but the injury had given him time to cool off. He let the fight leave his body and shifted his focus to every droplet of water in the air surrounding them, followed by the dying flames of his foxfire burning on where the hunter had thrown his shirt to the ground. Suddenly, the screams of terror sounded anew as his illusion took shape. It spoke of curses, misfortune, a life for a life should they not leave the body of whom they had taken. You have your life. They're dead, 2 even. Take him, but we're not. He was cut off by the flames burning higher. Suna was certain, even if he managed to instill the fear of the gods in them, they wouldn't leave him, not after all the trouble they went through, but he didn't need them to. The moment he felt the hand loosen its grip on his neck, he craned it and bit down forcefully. The taste of copper filled his mouth, and he took the man's scream as a sign to rush off. However, his injury hindered him. He stumbled, and just as he was about to be captured again, a gust of wind so forceful it cut the hand reaching out for him clean off, swept above his head. The screams behind him became a distant cacophony as he blinked up at the silhouette of a silver fox. The sigh of relief escaped his throat as he felt Kita's teeth gently clamping down around his neck, carrying him away at a steady pace. Komori must have reached the village and called for help. His breaths grew shallow, and as the adrenaline faded, his injuries demanded attention. He whined weakly, and noticed faintly how Kita's steps accelerated. By the time the familiar shine of their home lured him through the trees, with the promise of rest and medicine, he was barely lucid anymore. However, he did still notice how Osamu dropped the basket he had been carrying, and hurried to his side. To say he looked shocked was an understatement. Suna frowned. Shouldn't he be with Motsuya? Osamu's heart almost stopped when he saw Kita trotting into the clearing with a smaller black and silver fox in his maw. He recognized Suna immediately, cold sweat rushing over his skin as he took in his condition. He was by his side in seconds, laundry long forgotten and his eyes glued to the sickening red at his side. What happened? Hunters. Suna took out 2 on his own and injured the other 3. I only did the rest. The bodies have been returned to the earth. Only the gods know what paths their souls have taken. While Osamu was examining his mate in a panic, he did the sensible thing and waved over a healer. Akagi took one look at the injury and began shouting orders, while others around them began gathering the supplies he requested. He guided Osamu to carry Suna to their nest. Ever since a few months ago, they lived in a smaller house morphed into the mountainside instead of the communal home. Osamu was quick to place Suna on a futon he rolled out beside the lowered nest for easier access as Akagi instructed. The smaller used his abilities to coax Suna back into his human form and began treating the injury, while Osamu was struck with another realization as his eyes lingered on the carefully constructed nest Komori had made for them and their future cub. He rushed outside again to search for Kita, and found him in his human form himself, confirming the details of the events with a few of the elders. Kita was... He was out of breath and stumbling over his own words in his haste and panic. Kita looked up surprised and patiently waited for him to collect himself. Osamu had no such patience. His frustration and panic grew quickly. Motea, Toya was supposed to be with him, was he? He thankfully didn't need to elaborate further as understanding dawned in Kita's eyes. He turned back to the forest. Follow me. Osamu did, without question. I didn't see him anywhere nearby, or any other hunters. Suna gave no indication of there being more, or where your mate could be, but he was barely conscious at that point. Osamu's teeth clenched and he moved his legs even faster, now in his foxhole himself, to keep up with Kita and to get there faster. But even at high speed, the distance was considerable. A pregnant omega couldn't have crossed it as quickly. They arrived at the newly dug graves, 5 in total, and branched out quickly to search for any signs of his mate. Osamu felt irritation, anger, and fear battle within him as he sensed Suna's blood and his distressed pheromones, but he couldn't find Komori's alongside it. Had they split up? Was he hiding? Or worse, incapacitated? I cannot find any hint he was close by, or any other hunters but those who attacked Suna. That doesn't make any sense. They were together when they left. He knew his own scent was souring more and more as he frantically searched for him. Yes, they were. There's a good chance he's still near, but you don't think Suna would have allowed him to be dragged into the fight, do you? No, of course not. He shook his head. We'll expand our radius, and if we don't find him in the next couple of minutes, we'll go back to the village and start a more targeted approach, with those who specialize in this. Osamu's head snapped up and he meant to protest, but Kita loomed over him with a stare that allowed for little discussion. His 5 tails flicked behind him. It was hard to believe he was merely a year older than them. Komori-kun isn't the only mate that needs you right now. Only that there is one of the two that you can actually help. You are not trained in this. If we don't find him soon, we'll send those who are. It is safer and more likely to reap results. Osamu agreed reluctantly, and they set out to search the area. He prayed silently they'd find him around every other corner they passed. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Oh my god. See, I'm not practicing this anymore. My throat also hurts a little bit from talking so much. It took me quite a lot longer than it usually would to record this. I really have to get back into this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tell me what your favorite quote was under the video, under the pinned comment. And again, please tell me in the comments which series I could continue on. I can't do much right now, but that means that every moment I can dedicate this to this channel, I can focus on what you really want to see. A special thanks goes out to my daily neckos, especially those who stuck around with me here throughout this little hiatus. You guys are the absolute best, and I appreciate it so much. You make life a whole lot easier studying and not worrying so much about finances. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone who still supports this channel, and now have a very fun and amazing day, and happy holidays.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. 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 Today's gonna be a good day.